Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. My name is the Rainbow Bard. I will be moderating our chat here on gender diverse creators. My pronouns are anything, they, them, he, she, anything. Let's see. Let's start with the Proud Owl. Take it away.
Hi there, I'm Zeki, or the Proud Owl on Twitch, and my pronouns are he, him. Do I need to say anything else?
We'll just keep it
Yeah,
short for now.
I'll go next. Hi, my name is Control Quinn. You can call me Quinn. My pronouns are they, them. I'm non-binary. I stream on Twitch. I'm a comedian, and I just like to get here and play lots of video games. Thanks for having me.
Okay, and then Amethyst.
What's up, everyone? My name is Amethyst Millennia. You can call me Amethyst, or you can call me Tonight if you're bold enough. I'm a drag king here on Twitch. Pronouns are they, them. And yeah, let's get chaotic.
Artie, and then Kazuma.
Hi, my name is Justice Kazi, or Kazuma Hashimoto. I'm a half Japanese trans man. I'm a streamer on Twitch, and I also write articles about media analysis and Japanese history.
And then a quarter ghost.
Hello, I'm Ian, a quarter ghost. I'm a non-binary transgender person, and my pronouns are they, them.
And last but not least, Anne.
Hello, Anne Dorco. I am non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, and I stream here on Twitch a lot of my music writing process. And for me, that all ties back into combating anxiety, which I've been now talking about it in the terms of building emotional resilience, because I think focusing on the positive is a little more constructive for me. So that's what I do.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to start us off with kind of a tough question, and that is navigating enforcing your pronouns firmly, but kindly. Would anybody like to start us off with that topic?
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, wait, no, you go.
Okay. Well, in my experience on Twitch, especially as somebody who is not white and doesn't look gender conforming, usually the way that I personally combat it is I have a command on Twitch. If I don't have the energy to effectively respond to somebody that, hey, these are my pronouns, like please respect that, and pop up on Twitch. But when it comes to confronting people, it's, very much like, hey, like actually, like, I'm a Japanese man, these are my pronouns. And, you have to be kind of reactionary to situations when people either like choose to respect that or not, and also the kind of energy that you want to put forward and deal with that. So I think it really varies from each streamer. So yeah, like somebody else take it away.
I was gonna add a little bit. I am transgender, and I know I have. Sadly, it's considered a privilege of passing, whatever the heck that is. And when people find out that I'm trans, I always get the, wait, you're trans? What are your pronouns? Like all of a sudden, who I am is no longer real because I'm happen to be transgender, and it's kind of one of those things where I have to be like, yes, I'm still Zeki. I'm still me. I'm still a man. Those are still my pronouns. So you don't need to understand that I'm transgender. You just need to respect that I am, and those are my pronouns. So that's kind of how I have to deal with it in that regard.
I would say like being non-binary and being traditionally like female or femme presenting, that people are always like caught off guard when I say no, like I actually prefer they, them, I'm non-binary. Like they don't expect that from me in stream when I say that or meet new people. And then I want to understand, like, and I do understand because we're in this huge shift of people trying to like understand as a whole in society, but it's still like kind of hurtful when I present and say like this is who I am, and then people still don't like listen. That kind of sucks. But yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of the same way. Like I recently came out as non-binary because I was trying to like figure myself out. It took me a little while. Obviously, everyone goes at their own pace, but I've had the issue too where people will come in and like assume, which is, kind of like the norm. And that's fine. But it's also like when they get it wrong, sometimes they make this huge deal out of it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Everything like that. Please forgive me. And I'm just like, let's just move on from it. You just be like, okay, as long as you want to like continue to call me, by my correct pronouns, we're all good. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of it has been setting that expectation with my core community, and then encouraging and saying, hey, I am sometimes struggling to call people out and correct people when they use the wrong pronouns. So on top of trying to integrate more of just introducing my pronouns to raiders or anyone when I see that a new influx of people are coming through, to then encourage people to say, hey, if you see someone use the wrong pronoun, feel free to you don't have to be angry about it. Just be like, oh, hey, Anne's pronouns are they, them. If you could use that going forward, that'd be great. And that's become a real standard. And when people model that in chat, whether it's my mods or my core community members, the new community members start seeing that and following suit as well. And it translates out into all my social media as well. It's, I have really just set myself a little boundary that way. And it's really helpful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was
For
gonna
me,
say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. For me, it's very weird in the drag community because I am very much a drag king, but I still use they, them pronouns. But it's not so much the fact that people want to use he, him for me. It's the fact that, like, because drag is so dominated by cis gay men who are drag queens, it's always, oh, she, they do, she does this, but I still get called she all the time. And I'm just sitting here like, I did not spend 2 hours covering my face in eyeliner for you to call me she. So 9 times out of 10, I do kind of just like make a joke out of it because most of the time they're new and they don't know. And so like it's usually just like a my mistake, let's move on kind of thing. But when they double down on it, when they keep doing it, then it's a problem. And then it's kind of just like, what more do I have to do here?
And it's like, why is there such a binary when you're looking at how someone presents, and why does that automatically have to translate into someone's pronouns, let alone gender identity? Because it's something I've been working on in my streaming community in general, is that we're not going to assume just because someone presents a certain way that means this is their gender identity and their pronouns. I try to especially when we're rating, for example, or when I'm shouting somebody out, even with some of my other things, putting in the pronouns, talking about this person that we're about to raid, this is this person's pronouns, please respect the pronouns, or stuff like that, just to normalize a little more and stop assuming somebody's gender or pronouns just because of how it seems.
I think oh,
sorry, I was
you go.
say, I feel like that really segues really well into our next question. So, Anne, if you want to go ahead and add in your 2 cents first.
Oh, I was gonna say it can be, I think for me, the most difficult situation I haven't yet figured out how to navigate is when people are doing something that's rather generous, like sharing me on social media or maybe commenting something nice about me on someone else's profile and using the wrong pronouns, because I don't want to jump in and be like, hey, you used the wrong pronouns, but you said really nice things about me.
Yeah.
And that's something I still struggle with. And I think that's the hardest one, and where I really appreciate when someone else can just come in and be like, oh, those are not their pronouns. And then I can just say, thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I think what the Proud Owl mentioned about prefacing somebody when you're going into a raid and prefacing their pronouns. That leads us into why respecting somebody's gender identity, even when they are not present, why that matters so much. So if somebody would like to jump in here with that next topic.
I'll talk right now. One of the things that I think about when it comes to pronouns and like something that Anne said was just like those people in your community, those allies, the people who like jump in and like kind of help, because it can be quite exhausting as someone who like is just, you don't want to have to like be like, well, this is me all the time. And I feel that way as like a Black person, right? Like I don't want, it's not my job to educate people all the time, every single time. And also as like a queer person, or like everything that is my identity, it gets very tiring. So when you have people around you and your communities around you who like, who kind of get that and understand that too, it's a lot easier. But definitely if you as a streamer or broadcaster and you're rating someone or going to a different community, you know who they are and what they prefer, then you kind of bring attention to that without painting it. Like, you know what I mean? Something I say is like, I put more emphasis on like they, them, or he, her, like who these people are. And that kind of like helps the community get it. And if your community is like really open in the first place because of who you are, it's a lot easier. But that's what I have to, that's it.
I think,
And
and then like the discussion of talking about people's pronouns before raids, or you know, that's where I like the normalization of adding pronouns to your profiles everywhere, because then if I'm gonna raid you, maybe I don't know you yet and I want to be respectful of who you are. If I don't know you yet and I'm trying to find someone new to me, if your pronouns are there, I can be very respectful of what your identity is and already do that work for you going in.
I know that
I agree.
Ian and I had this conversation about people who are cisgender. There's never a questioning. And we're almost always humored. It's like, oh well, they think this is the pronouns, or they think this is who this person is, and it's very demeaning, because it's almost like it's like saying that people who are non-binary or who are not cisgender in general are just in a delusional state, instead of this is who you are. It's not who you think you are, it's who you are.
And like I understand that completely. Like I get the whole like when someone introduces me or something like that, like this is who they prefer to be called. And I'm just like, no, that's who I am. That is who I am. I don't prefer it. It's not a preference. It's just who I am. So like I feel that way too. And like also like I've gotten before to where friends will humor me in person, but then I find out they've been misgendering me behind my back or something like that. Not necessarily like, I guess in a hateful way, but more as like a lazy way that they're not really trying. You know what I mean? It's like almost like performative, you know what I mean? And so it's important to be supportive, even when you're not in the same room with, you know, your friend or your family member or something.
And also like with that, I mean, honestly, it's very, very cool when you practice with your other friends to use the right pronouns for somebody else. I always talk about with like my friends and family, like for me, my issue with my pronouns is that I really sense euphoria with they, them. Like I'm not going to unpack all my stuff right now, but the big topic being they, them is euphoric for me. And so when I realized that my family members, after they discovered, because I didn't really come out, they found out that I go by they, them, and I know that that was a switch for them. And realizing in our D&D sessions every week that they had been practicing and self-correcting and like working with each other on that was just so freaking huge. It was so meaningful to me because you can hear the, oh yeah, that's what I've been working on, let me fix that, without making it a big issue for me to have to stress about, because then I don't have to stress about it.
feel like hearing your friends, like I feel like I'm about to start crying. I'm like, oh, that's so nice of them.
I support the
Okay.
cries.
I feel like that leads really well into our next question as well. In case, unless anybody wants to jump in with something. But I was thinking we could talk a little bit about how for a lot of cis people, non-binary is kind of used as more of like women light
Ugh.
or women and non-binary, so if Amethyst, if you want to jump in here, I feel like you got
boy,
words.
do I. Boy, do I. It's being AFAB and non-binary is so annoying. It's just so annoying because there's so many different, for me, drag is actually how I experience gender euphoria. It's a way that allows me to be completely androgynous in a way. Granted, no human being ever looks like this, hence why I don't do this all the time, but it's just a way that makes me feel the most me, and to be seen, still be seen as women light, and to have like the like non-binary people seen as like spicy female, it gets so frustrating because at the end of the day, I'm still being reduced to my genitalia, which have nothing to do with anything. Or when a place is like, when like a space is like for women and non-binary people, I know that they mean non-binary people who are AFAB, which is, one, is just implying that we are spicy women, and two, are once again reducing non-binary people to their genitalia, because it's unspoken that AMAB people, and more often than not trans women, aren't allowed in that space, which shouldn't be the case, because obviously trans women are women, and I personally just do not wish to be perceived. Do not perceive me as AFAB or spicy female. Just, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it gets me heated.
Just to kind of like jump on the end of what you were saying, where you didn't know where you were going with this, I'm just going to intro with, I don't know where I'm going with this. So I really love the whole spicy female thing, and I think that should be our mixtape.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start a they them band.
Yes, let's do it. But it's something that I experience a lot, where just saying like like I'm non-binary, I prefer they them, and then people just kind of like, well, can I still hit, or like something, or immediately thinking that it's, especially people who are trying to like talk to me or whatever, like in a romantic way, like, and there's so many other layers to that, but I really connected with that. That's all I have to say. That's it.
Yeah,
Those are
I understand that. I do. Like I don't want to identify as, AFAB or whatever, but like people come in and like sometimes assume, you know what I mean? And like, and that's the thing, is like that's what like makes me be like, there is no look to be non-binary. Like there is no like, oh, well, you have to look this certain way and androgynous to be non-binary. You know what I mean? No, you can be non-binary because you're non-binary. There is no way to go about it. You know what I mean? And so it's the same thing as like, and still like also adding your identity, like when someone like may use they them for you, but then they like put you in more of a female light with things, like more like, I don't know, like character wise or something like that they feel like you would identify with, you know what I mean? Or some kind of genderized, like how things are like more, gendered. I don't know why, because it's like a social construct, but like, how more things are like gendered in the store and things like that. Oh yeah, I think you'd like this, or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like the same way, you're just like, so
I think that leads really well into the next topic as well, which is the idea of disclosure and how it seemingly only applies to cishet individuals. Yep. Oh,
Oh,
are we good?
hello.
Hello.
We're back.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sorry, we had a bit of a technical difficulty. If you want to go ahead and refresh everybody.
What I was about to say was too strong for Twitch, apparently. So I have a story that happened real quick. I was going somewhere to pick up something before Ian and I were about to move across the country. And I kept referring to Ian with their pronouns. Ian's pronouns are they, them. And you know, my partner, they're like them and I are going across. And the person who was helping me at the store asked, so what are your partner's pronouns? He, him, she, her? And I literally was like, they, them. That's Ian's pronouns. Like why is there this concept or like idea that they is some default space where it's an unknown territory before all of a sudden the gender is revealed? Like, no, it's like it goes back into the idea of having to disclose non-binary is not almost like seemingly not a legitimate gender identity. And that was really frustrating. And it's something that I've been trying to work on with the community and talking about how you don't need to understand what non-binary means here. Because I've had people go, I don't really understand this whole non-binary thing, which is a whole mood. But I've literally had to tell people, like, that's cool. You don't need to understand it to respect somebody. And we don't need to tell you. You just need to know that the person we're going to rate, their pronouns are they, them, and you're going to use they, them pronouns. Or me, I'm going to ban you because I'm a Modern Ian's channel. That's the end of that. So, I don't know.
Also,
that's
I
all
just want
wanna
to
say.
add real quick, and it doesn't look a certain way.
No, it doesn't.
No, it
It
does not.
doesn't.
Nope.
Pronouns do not have to look who you are. It's just, I don't know how to describe this. I'm really bad. It's a really emotional thing for me, but that's all I want to say. Just it doesn't look a certain way, and like to let go of that. And I feel like a lot of people who don't understand hold on to that when it comes to pronouns, and it's really emotional and frustrating for me.
Yeah. And what really frustrates and annoys me is how, like, even in the language that's meant to be helpful, or the language that allies use that they think is helpful, is it's like cis people get their gender. We get our gender identity. Cis people get their pronouns. We get preferred pronouns.
Yep.
You said it.
And just to
You said
tag
it.
on in there, I feel like a lot of people expect androgyny, or if you're using they, them and you're wearing makeup, you're like, wait, I thought you were non-binary though. And it's like, okay, gender doesn't okay, when I look at my lipstick, it doesn't say, hey, you have to be a woman to wear this or else you're gonna catch on fire, you know, like makeup and clothes and any sort of that. I mean, it doesn't have a gender. And
Even
I feel like
sorry, you go.
no, go for it. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, even in the world of gendered clothing that everyone likes to pretend exists, it changes through the centuries and the decades. Like, it used to be that men wore dresses. Men wore dresses, and that's what they
Men wore high heels.
Men wore high heels came from the military, if I remember correctly. Like, the idea of gender and clothing is incredibly arbitrary based on who wants to sell you something.
Already. So Cosmo, I've noticed you haven't really chimed in here. So I wanted to aim one question at you here, and then everybody else can jump in afterwards. But if you would like to speak on the predispositions that people have towards people of color who are also gender diverse, or, you know, just people who are non-white basically and gender diverse. I know that we've talked about this a bit on how especially Japanese families can be a bit more conservative, if you want to take it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. I won't specifically get into that since, you know, this is more like a Twitch centered thing, but there's definitely on this platform that I've noticed personally, and just in general interacting as a East Asian trans man, right? The predispositions people have towards you in white dominated or English speaking spaces, based on the way that you look. You know, the idea that Asian men are more effeminate, so therefore, you know, like people will automatically come into my chat and assume that I'm a woman and continue to misgender me. And even I've had this instance recently where I've started using my webcam, right? And this has been really upsetting personally. When I have my webcam on, I've even noticed that people who have been part of my community for some time have started to misgender me because they see my face with my voice, and it plays into this idea that, you know, like I because I'm Asian, I'm just a woman. I don't have the features that are associated with being traditionally masculine in a Western sense, right? And I feel like people come onto this platform and they have those predispositions, and the way that they treat like non-white streamers and sort of push these ideas onto them, especially conforming to Western beauty standards if you're a trans man, are really, really apparent and become very apparent over time because you're not given the same like respect as your, you know, like white trans peers and everything regarding their, like, you know, their gender and whatnot. And it really sucks. It really sucks. And I wish people would sort of break away from those ideas, because I feel like that also plays into this idea of gender conformity of what is and isn't passing, even though those rules don't exist. Like, they legitimately don't exist. They're fake. And the way that they treat like non-white streamers on this platform.
I'm gonna say something. Is that okay?
Absolutely,
Go for it.
100%.
All right. One of the first things I want to say is like this whole, like the comedy between like Black people, people of color, in any sense, and queerness, and also like how we just have to let go of, not we, but like society has to recognize that people who don't have these labels attached to them have to understand like how hard it is for us, like for people of color, Black people, all of us, to like just in the way we treat queerness in our societies, in our cultures, and how it's like not easy. And it's so much easier to just be white. And I don't know. I'm really bad at words right now. This is like I was not expecting to get into this, but I just want to say it's really hard just to exist as just to exist. That's it. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna start crying right now.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I feel like I had a point here and I'm losing it. Give me one moment here. It'll come back. Okay, I got it. So it comes back to we're going to talk about what being non-binary even means, or the imposter syndrome that comes with that. And I feel like we did kind of touch on that earlier. But for me especially, I feel like I tend to want to reject femininity even when I'm feeling a lot more femme that day. So like for me, especially my brand of non-binary, if you will, because I feel like it's different for every person, being that gender is a spectrum, obviously, you know, like you can feel more masc or more femme for whichever day. But for me, I generally am just like way over here in fucking over here in alien land, you know, like, please do not perceive me. I am not a person. And like, when I'm like, I want to wear a dress and be beautiful today, I'm like, wait a second, hold on. Am I allowed to do that? Because if other people see me doing that, they're going to go, oh, look at it. I knew they were just faking it and they're just a, you know, spicy woman or whatever. So if anybody else would like to chime in with their imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel the exact same way all the time, especially just existing, because back when I first started identifying as non-binary and using they them exclusively, I was very much just like, oh no, what if I'm actually cis and I just wanted to feel special? And then I was, as I got more used to it, be like, okay, no, clearly that's not the case. And then I cut all my hair off, and then I went, oh no, what if I'm actually trans and I just don't want to accept it? And just kind of just living between those two permanent moods all the time. And it's a lot of non-binary is really just, for me at least, just trying to figure out, like, what am I? Because I am all and nothing at the same time. I am simultaneously every gender and no gender. I am just a local cryptid who lives as a bog witch and trying to figure out how I want to present. And that changes from day to day, because sometimes I want to dress more femininely, not necessarily skirts or dresses, but sometimes I just want to look more done up in a feminine way. But I know that once I leave my house, especially if I'm not wearing a sports bra that day, I'm going to be perceived as a woman. But I also know that if I dress more androgynously, I won't be perceived as male, definitely not, but like, people take more of a pause of, what are you?
Mhm.
And
Sucks.
Yeah.
and just trying to be like, it's hard just trying to live my life knowing that at the end of the day, despite my best wishes, I am perceived.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that completely. Like I worried about that too, because I originally transitioned and believed for a while that I was more just like a trans man, like I was just he him, you know what I mean? And like the more and more things went about it, I was like, well, I kind of want to, I want to explore. I want to wear dresses. I want to, I want to grow my hair long. I want to, not that that's needed to be non-binary, but I didn't feel like any label. You know what I mean? And like, if I were to label myself, I would say non-binary. But like, I feel like that is like kind of the imposter syndrome coming in there, and kind of like society being like, well, you can't wear this, you can't do that, or you're going to be labeled that. And, I wish it wasn't like that. I really, really do. I wish it wasn't like that. And I wish it was easier for people that were non-binary to be taken seriously out there. Like being on here and hanging out with like you guys and like having, Rainbow Arcade and everything like that is really great, is fantastic. I think there's just a lot of work that needs to be done out there. You know what I mean? Like out in like in person stuff, you know what I mean? And so I think with that, I think also having this space and being like, I have imposter syndrome too. And you see that as like, okay, well, that must be a normal thing. Maybe I am valid, you know what I mean? And who I am. So.
I just
Yeah.
want to exist. That's all I want to say.
Right?
That's a mood.
I just want to
That's a mood.
exist. I just want to
Absolutely.
exist and be here and not have every part of me questioned.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's how I arrived to the non-binary label in the first place. Like I, at some point, because I knew I didn't feel right. I have dysphoria, and I am trans, and that I hope to transition physically one day. But I'm definitely non-binary, and it took a long time to realize that and understand what I was feeling, because I didn't want to transition to another gender. I just wanted to feel comfortable in my body, and that didn't have anything to do with the genders that are offered to me. Like there was no I didn't just, it just was this element of confusion and these misunderstood feelings that were always there, but didn't have clarity. There was no context for them. And it was very frustrating. But yeah, I arrived to the non-binary conclusion when I realized that like perfectly described this desire to just be. I don't want to have to pick between those options. Thank you very much. But like, I also used to push off a lot of like feminine things because I knew that pushed more people towards like, recognizing me as female, which and so like, I think even though I still have to deal with that external part of it, recognizing like why I feel uncomfortable with my chest, recognizing why and what all these things are, has been very powerful for me, because now I can do things like sometimes play with makeup, or even like pretend that that's something I'd be like willing to do, because it's not that I don't like makeup, I just don't like how people associate makeup with me being feminine, right? And so figuring out how to navigate that going forward is still who knows, but it's something that I've started considering, to the surprise of those who know me and for my whole life, and have never allowed myself to entertain feminine things. But yeah, just like I feel like owning it internally, and it's not that I don't struggle with it still, but like owning it internally has helped me ignore everybody else about it.
No, I definitely understand that, especially with your comments about makeup, because hello. And starting drag is actually like makeup actually once again made me feel more comfortable in my gender, my non-binary identity, and it's because I get to just treat it as an art form, as just art that I'm putting on my face, and not, oh, I am trying to be the height of femininity. I will do a soft little contour here. No. And I actually, one of the best descriptions that I ever saw of non-binary, it was in a TikTok, I think. Someone just went, gender, but make it fashion. And that is the best way I've ever found identifying for myself ever. that is what I feel.
On the TikTok?
On the TikTok.
Okay. I feel like I've said this exact same thing 500 times, but that's okay. I feel like this really leads into our next topic well, which is drag and art, and how both of those things, art and drag, I mean, drag is an art, but anyways, how art really makes people think about gender and what it means and what it really doesn't mean. So for me, I feel like drag is one of the main things that has really made me feel comfortable being called she, her. So for the longest time, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. For the longest time, I felt like very dysphoric when somebody would be like she, when people would call me by she or her or female or woman or whatever, like all of that just did not feel like me at all. And I was just like, I guess. But in drag, seeing all these fantastic drag queens referring to themselves as she, and like talking, how that everybody is like, oh, she's killing it or whatever, like but anyways, that is honestly what made me comfortable being called she or her, or, oh, look at that girl go. I'm like, yeah, bitch. Oh God. I'm like, yeah, like I'm rocking it. Like, thank you, And so like in this weird way, when somebody calls me she, I think of it as like, in my drag persona, they're referring to me as those pronouns, so like it's very confusing to me. But I feel like drag really helped me just understand more of who I was and really get comfortable with all pronouns. So somebody else want to jump in here before I cuss us even more?
Yeah, I have really quick thing to say. I am not a drag performer at all, but like I remember when I was figuring out who I was as a non-binary person, that I would go to like drag shows and see the confidence in like drag queens and think like, well, I'm not like what I'm labeled as in society, like I'm a she or whatever, what everyone's calling me, like that's not me. But also it's like, it doesn't matter if that's me or not, you know, like who we are, we're just people, and we should be able to have this like energy and confidence no matter who we are. And every like that's what really changed my life when I was a kid, was just thinking like, listen, it doesn't matter who I am, like, or how I feel about myself, or anyone how they feel about themselves or who they are. It's just like, you are just you, and you can do amazing or whatever you want. I don't know how else to describe that. Like, that may sound really weird, but like that's just how I felt. And that was like, I don't know. That's it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you are.
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
cool. So my face is frozen in deep contemplation, but because Zoom's acting up. But I feel like for me, when I know I identify as a transgender man, but I'm also gender nonconforming in some ways. And one of the ways where I was able to really discover myself, or you know, when they say when your egg cracks or whatever, was through fan fiction. Because the media is not up to speed, especially I feel, I need to say it, with trans masculine people. Well, too often people are saying, well, if you want to be a man, then you have to look this way, you have to have the surgery, otherwise you're not man enough. And you know, with fan fiction, at least I was able to see and like read and write for myself, like characters who represented me or people who identified like me, and that made me feel really valid. And I went, hey, I'm reading about this character. Wait, why do I identify so much with this person, like this guy character? And that was kind of what made me feel more comfortable and take that step to really listen to myself. So I just wanted to add into that. That's all.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, with like as someone who actively does drag a lot, I actually been taking a break from streaming for a bit just for mental health stuff, and this is the first time I got in drag in 2 weeks, and now I'm gonna cry. When I was getting ready, like I was like doing my thing in the mirror, just like jamming to my music, doing my little thing, and then like I put on the whole ensemble and I looked in the mirror to do some finishing touches, and I just had a moment of, oh, there you are.
Oh.
And just being like, wait. Because I always do try to separate Amethyst the person from Amethyst the drag king, because they are two different people. When I'm out of drag, I am much quieter. I'm much more reserved, and drag allows me to really open up and gives me the confidence to just be a fun, flirty F-boy. I'm not dropping a second F-bomb. I'm not doing it. And but to fully get into drag and just be, I kind of see it as like a costume that's an extension of myself. Like I'm not getting into I'm not putting on a mask. I'm putting on like a cape, because it's still very much me, just me with additions. And so drag has really helped me get so much more comfortable and confident in my non-binary identity. And yeah.
That's amazing.
Very well said.
I almost feel like you've said you with additions, and maybe I'm not right in thinking that maybe it's you with that externalized communication rather than like, I don't like, it's part of you. I don't know if it's like, is it added onto you, or is it just a part of you that's now visibly expressed?
Okay, I don't have therapy until Thursday.
It's you. It's who you are.
amplified, just amplified you, if that's okay to
Yeah.
say. But I
I
feel like
love
art
that.
is, especially when we make it our own, really gives us an opportunity when it's exposed for people to feel like they can reflect on themselves. And that's the really good thing about Twitch, is that this isn't necessarily mainstream, but it's your stream, and you can really show yourself to others, and they can see themselves, or they can start to really like feel seen through your streams, through your art form.
Definitely. And I feel like we touched on this earlier, but I wanted to bring it back. I feel like there is a real lack of positive trans representation for trans men, especially trans masculine people, non-binary people. I feel like of all of the different marginalized trans people, I feel like you hear trans women or women 20,000 times more often than you hear trans men or men. And it's like, what? Like, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't know what that's up with. And I feel like just mentioning, I feel like Tell Me Why was like the most positive trans man representation I've seen. And it really made me feel very seen. Like I wish that kind of game would have been around when I was younger, because it definitely would have answered a lot of questions that I had and would have given me answers that I didn't even know that I needed. If anybody else would want to
I
chime in on
would
that.
I think it's just like this really, really, really like deep seated like misogyny in our entire culture, where our people just don't want to accept that women that's it, they don't want to accept, they don't. So it's like, oh, it's so hard like for society to just for everyone, and it's so frustrating. And I'm so bad at words today because I'm so emotional. I'm so sorry.
You're doing great.
It's okay.
Mhm.
This is the crying panel.
Mhm.
We cry. Yeah,
This
but
is the mood panel, the good moods, the vulnerable moods. It's okay.
it's definitely misogyny as a whole.
I hope this isn't too controversial to say, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with people want to see trans people suffer, especially trans women, because that's all we ever see in media.
Mhm.
And for
Torture
some
porn.
reason, they don't think that we're controversial enough, because sometimes we don't. Sadly, it goes back to the quote unquote passing and that whole thing, that needing to be a reason to attack someone. And sometimes just because we're not perceived as dealing with discrimination, that we're not worthy of being seen at all. And that goes, and that's really frustrating, because just like in the celebration panel, you're only going to see Black people of color because they're suffering, but you're not going to be there when they're experiencing something great. And that's not fair. It's not fair. We deserve to be seen for the good too. Dang, I'm crying too. Thanks. But we deserve to have good things. Like Ian and I talked about this earlier this year in our communities, where we left a really rough spot. It was really hard for us. And we moved across the country together in the middle of a pandemic, and we're both immunocompromised. And it's two trans people getting to go to a place where they have family, where they can be uplifted, where they can feel safe. And people, especially people who are not cis, deserve to see that they can have a happy ending and a good life story. They deserve to see that. That needs to be highlighted. We're not just suffering. That's all I gotta
Absolutely.
say.
I feel like bury your gaze
Oh God.
trope
Oh
is
God.
so common. I feel like we're all very familiar with that. But if anybody isn't, basically, it is so unbelievably frustratingly common that whenever a gay character is introduced in a television show or a movie or whatever, they are dead. They always die. Like straight
Right.
up, the LGBTQIA plus community can never just have a happy ending. You know, like they always are like, oh, spoilers for us. No, I'm not going to spoil it, but I just recently watched a show and
I know
it
the
had-
show. I know the
it
exact
had
show.
absolutely amazing representation, right? The first episode, I'm like, oop, they gay. And then in the like fourth episode, turns out they were gay. And I was like, oh, that was right. They're gonna die. And sure enough, they freaking ended up dying. And it's like, we couldn't have one win. Like, and I
mean,
feel like
yeah.
it goes doubly so for trans people. Like the bury your gaze trope, I feel like is finally being ridiculed enough that people are seeing it, other than just us who are keeping an eye out for that. But now it has kind of transferred over into, okay, well, let's just see how much hatred we can pile onto this trans character, like in Last of Us 2. Like,
Yep.
Mhm.
they didn't have
Yeah.
to do all that.
Or especially like with non-binary characters, if they exist at all, they're always an emotionless robot or an alien. And I love She-Ra. Anyone who meets me will know that I love She-Ra. Why is Double Trouble a shape-shifting alien? I mean, same stan. Want that for me. But we can have non-binary people who aren't aliens.
It's like, why does it have to be so distant from who we are for it to be like seen as good?
Mhm.
It's just, yeah. That's why it's so important for streamers to be able to be celebrated, like for us to be able to show people that you're allowed to be happy in streams and have that visibility.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I feel like I'm not always up to date with pop culture and movies and TV, but one of the first queer shows I watched was The L Word, and even
Oh my
like
God, yeah.
Oh,
the trans
God.
the trans character there gets to have the opportunity to like raise money and have their surgery, and then that's shot like that's bad things are said about that. Like so even in their moment of something that should have been like a joyous occasion to like raise money and have affirmative surgery is like, oh, we're losing a woman, right? Like that kind of attitude. And I'd like to see less of that and hear less of that in my life.
Absolutely. So I think we're gonna be wrapping it up pretty soon here, but I wanted to ask one more thing, and that, or just bring up one more thing, because I feel like it is super important, and I feel like you guys all would, or you all would agree with me, is really, really, if you guys are watching this, thank you, but also please help out your gender diverse friends and help them when somebody misgenders them. Be their shield. Jump out and freaking be like, hey, actually, it's this. And if that person is gonna freaking be like, oh, I didn't know, I'm so sorry, I'm the worst person in the world. Like that, there's so much pressure on us to then be like, oh, hey, it's okay. You didn't mean to
Mhm.
hurt my feelings. Oh, I'll pat you on the back. Like, we don't want to do that. Please, like, jump in, take care of that for us. Like, I would really appreciate that. Like,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
okay, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We have plenty of time for all of us to go ahead and sell ourselves for you all. So I'm gonna go in the order of the overlay here.
Okay.
So the Proud Owl, that is you.
Okay. Sounds good. So again, I'm Zeki, also known as the Proud Owl on Twitch. I am a transgender content creator here. My pronouns are he, him, and I focus mainly in my stream on makers and crafting with a heavy lean into talking about pride-related things, LGBTQIA2 plus issues while we're making things like inclusive pride beanies. And then we talk about why that's so important to have inclusivity and to be proud of who you are.
I love that.
Thanks.
Alrighty, Amethyst, if you want to tell us who you are.
Sure. What's up, everyone? My name is Amethyst Millennia. You can call me Amethyst, or you can call me tonight if you're bold enough. I'm a drag king here on Twitch. My pronouns are they, them, and I stream a variety of things. I do Tarot Tuesdays, so if you want to have your fortune read or to get astrologically roasted, that's a new thing I'm implementing. Give me your sun, moon, and rising, and I will roast you for it. Be sure to stop by.
Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty, Ian, if you want to plug it in, let us know.
I'm Ian, also a quarter ghost. You can call me Ian or you can call me Ghost, whatever you want to do, or Ghosty or whatever. I'm a non-binary queer transgender person. My pronouns are they, them. And I like to create a chill, inclusive environment in my streams that uplifts marginalized voices. We have some discussions sometimes. We also do a lot of stuff that helps in like make people feel better if they're having anxiety or something like that. I like to create more of a chill, very kind of quiet stream and things like that for that, in case anybody needs a place to relax. So that's what we do.
Love that. All right, Quinn.
My name is Control Quinn. You can call me Quinn. I'm Control Quinn on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, of course. And I'm a comedian, and my pronouns are they, them. And I just want to remind you guys that Black Lives Matter, queer Black Lives Matter, trans Black Lives Matter. And if you are interested in finding out how you can support all of those, please follow me on Twitter, where I'm very active and like always just like talking right out my big head about social justice. And I would love to direct you in the right way that you could like support Black lives, especially queer Black lives like mine. That's it.
Heck yeah. Alrighty, Kazuma.
Okay, is my mic working?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. My name is Justice Kazi. You can also call me Kazuma. I am a half Japanese trans man. I primarily use my Twitch to talk about anti-imperialism in media and LGBTQIA plus rights in Japan. That's mostly what I do on Twitter as well. And usually we raise charities for, sorry, English, it's late for me, and English is a hard language. Usually I also raise money for LGBTQI plus organizations in Japan or for women's shelters, helping provide funds for places that basically house victims of domestic abuse. My streams get kind of heavy, so I won't lie about that when we do talk about anti-imperialism, Western imperialism and colonialism. But I try to make this a safe space for basically like non-white LGBTQIA plus individuals, where we can talk about these kinds of things in confidence and share how we really feel about it.
Awesome. And last but not least, Anne.
And Dorco, pronouns are they, them. You can pretty much find out everything you need to know about me at either dorco.tv or andorco.com. All my links to my music, my social profiles, my media kit, all that stuff is there. But you can pretty much search my name and find me anywhere. It is a very not used name.
That's awesome. Oh, and I am the Rainbow Bard. Hello, I am the Rainbow Bard on Twitch and Twitter, and I have an Instagram, but it's whatever. I don't have the TikTok yet, but we're thinking about it. Well, I want to thank everybody so much for watching, and just a heads up, the next panel is going to be on disability and accessibility, which I will be there as well. So
Yay.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. See y'all later.
Bye.